Okay. If I were to say, well, first of all, I'm talking to Dennis Hall, and you were a crew chief, right?
Yep.
And
I was a crew chief on a B model minigun ship.
And when were you there?
April 1967 to April 1968.
Oh, you were there exact same time I was.
Yeah. Yeah, we flew a lot together, Larry.
Yeah. If I were to say Boduk, Songbay, Loch Ninh, Quan Loy, what would come to mind?
Special Forces camps that we supported. And like Song Bay, that would be the artillery. There was on Song Bay Mountain, there was an Arty battalion, I think, that got overrun quite a bit.
Yeah, I think we had some of our most ferocious fighting up in those areas.
Yeah.
Especially around the Special Forces camps.
Yeah. One of the ones that I remember the most is probably Tonlachon. You remember that one?
No, I don't. When was it?
It was, I think it was, I got a hair metal out of it. I can't remember it, but I know it was like, it was August. Oh, it was my birthday, August 7th, 1967.
Okay, that was right before I got there.
Yeah, but it was a 15-hour battle, and shortly before that, the week before that, I got hit in the leg, but they didn't have anybody to, or I was hit in the heel during a mortar attack, but they didn't have anybody to cover me, so I went on this scramble, and I went with my foot bandaged, and it was a 15-hour battle, gooks on the wire. It was a broken arrow situation. Remember broken arrow, right?
No, I don't.
Broken arrow, when they come on the radio with broken arrow, that means that they're overrun, and to just pound their position.
Oh, okay, the Special Forces camp.
Yeah, they were overrun. And I remember flying along the wire, picking gooks off the wire, and this one time the miniguns malfunctioned, and I had all the ammo in the world. And but that was the only time my minigun ever malfunctioned, was then. All because of some weak links. But anyway, it was a pretty mean battle. It was MVA and the 10th BC regiment, which we were always fighting and decimating. But I remember coming over the rise, and Tonlachon sat in kind of like a valley. And I remember there was a quad 50 they had, and then there was another quad 51 that the gooks had. And man, that when I saw that thing go off and those 4 lines of green tracers.
Yeah, the piggyback.
And, oh yeah, and then from both sides of the valley they had the 51s. Man, them 51s were mean. I caught one through the rotor blade. That's the first helicopter I lost. And then we came back with another one. And
you were able to land safely though with it in the.
Huh?
You were able to land safely, right?
Yeah, with a hell of a vertical, man. It was. We had a hell of a vertical because we got hit through the rotor blades. 51 left a big hole about the size of an apple through the blade, and it really gave us a hell of a vertical, but we made it.
I remember getting hit.
Fueling point.
I remember getting hit in the rotor blade one time, and Benning was a crew chief, and he duct taped it.
Yeah.
He duct taped the hole.
Well, there was no way I could duct tape this one.
Yeah, it was too big.
It was way too big, and when we landed, the tip of the blade, because it was towards the tip, it folded after we landed, and start coming apart.
Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah.
If that would have happened in the air, you would have probably gone down.
Oh, we'd have been dead. But I remember all the holes in the tail boom, you know, just maybe 15, 20 holes in the tail boom. And that really scared me because one was right near the drive shaft. That was kind of scary. But
remember when we would take rounds, the maintenance crew would put these little light green. They would pop rivet these light green patches over the holes. Remember that?
well, I remember flattening out a Coke can. We got this big tin of Coke from one of these gook.
Yeah, like the gooks built their hooches out of.
Yeah. Well, we got one of those and we cut them out, and then we would paint them camouflage again.
Yeah.
And we'd pop rivet them on there, which made it stronger, you know, really. But I remember a few that there was one through the hell hole that that went up through the hydraulics and shit. But I don't know how we survived that one, because when we landed, we didn't have any hydraulics at all, man.
I remember one story where, and I don't know if it was you or somebody took like 30 rounds up through the hellhole, and it didn't hit anything.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. It missed the transmission, missed everything. I mean, but it was like AK rounds. They weren't 50 rounds or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, took a lot of them up the hellhole, and but we lost our hydraulics. They did hit the hydraulics.
And that was on a B model, right?
Yep. And it still flew. I got it back again too.
No, there's one story that is told during our reunions about some of your superior gun work.
Oh yeah.
You were, I think you had gone into a fight, and there was a bunch of dead bodies on the ground, and a ship had landed with an intelligence officer in it or something to try to
what
get
happened
prisoners.
was we were on a bloodhound mission. We were on a bloodhound. Remember the bloodhounds?
Yeah.
And I was in the second ship, and we were flying down low on the ground. And we went over this one spot, and I looked down, and I see all these gooks laying down underneath these trees. And I told Acton, turn. And he turned right then. I kept my eye on him. And then we flew over, and he saw him, and we started making a gun run on him. And we made about 4 or 5 passes. And then this chemical officer landed his helicopter and started searching bodies and stuff. Some guy popped up. We were flying by him right at that time, and some guy popped up with a rifle, and he was going to shoot this chemical officer. Well, now we're flying sideways, okay? I mean, I'm looking straight out the door at these guys, so you know it's not an easy shot because you know you're flying parallel to them. But I just give a short burst over the top of his rotor blades, and I got this guy that was going to shoot this guy. And then as we were going by again, there was another one that popped up to shoot this guy, and I got him too. Yeah, but that was everybody remembers that shot because we were flying, you know, parallel, and I just gave a short burst, I think a burst of 3 or 4, you know, and I got him, just took him out.
Well, just
that was always a pretty good shot, man.
All our shooting was from the hip. I mean, you know, we never aimed or anything, and you know, after you know, it doesn't take you long to, you know, when you were shooting, when you had a target, you shot behind the target, and then your rounds would just kind of curve right into it. You know, it was an optical illusion, but you know, and that became just a natural reaction for us after a while.
Well,
you know?
If I could see it, I could kill it.
Yeah.
That's more or less the way it was. If I could see it, I could kill it. You know, and some of the shit about, you know, the John Wayne movies, you see, well, I was better than that.
Yeah.
You know?
You were good.
Yeah.
You were very good.
Yeah, I think you're bound to get good after 18 months of firing thousands and thousands of rounds a day.
Yeah.
You're bound to get good. You know.
You know, I think I'm not sure on this. I could be wrong, but wasn't it recommended that we carry, what was it, 800 rounds in our door boxes?
Oh shit, man. Yeah.
I'm talking about
rounds.
the recommended amount, but I know I carried 1,800 rounds in my door box, and I think just about everybody else did too.
Well, we all have minigun cans, and they were 1,800 rounds apiece. I think that's what they were.
Well, I just had a wooden box in mine that I had filled to the top with ammo.
I had a minigun can.
And I can remember times when it was really hot and we were to take off, and we were so overweight that we would skip the helicopter down the runway until we got enough forward airspeed to actually start lifting off.
Yeah, hit transitional lift, yeah. Yeah, we'd be, our skids would be sparking on the runway, that's for sure, on that PSP.
Yeah.
Especially the hog ship, remember?
Yeah.
Danny Breckenridge had that hog ship, and he had 48 on each side, 4 banks of 12. When the Charlie models couldn't even carry that much, you know, and that was on a B model.
And that was on a B model, yeah.
Yeah, and he carried 4 banks of 12 on each side. So.
Wasn't it the hog that they tried to mount the 50 caliber on, and it just vibrated too much? Was that the hog they tried that with?
Tore it out of the floor.
Yeah, right.
Tore the floor right out. Yep.
So the hog was just the 48 rockets or no.
Twin minigun, or twin 60s.
Twin 60s, yeah.
Yeah, Danny had set those twin 60s up though.
Now it was 48 rockets on each side, right?
Yeah.
So 96 altogether.
No. Oh yeah, 96.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that was one of the meanest hogs that there was in Vietnam, because no one could explain it, no one could understand it, why a B model could carry 4 12 packs and a Charlie model could only take 36. And Charlie model had, you know, it was like a Cobra, you know. Matter of fact, that's what a Cobra is. It's just a Charlie model with a slim body on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, same engine and everything.
Yep, same everything. What a machine, though. Yep, remember that? Remember the frog ship?
Yeah, yeah.
Boy, that was I hated flying with that one, because you'd see that frog, that 40 millimeter going pop, 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 pop. You'd see that big long line arcing in there. It wasn't really, to me, it wasn't really effective as everything else. So.
Well, I didn't fly on the frog too much, but I think every time I did fly on it, I think it malfunctioned.
Yeah, it always malfunctioned. It never fully expanded.
Yeah.
Ever. It just wasn't that good of a machine, man. It wasn't that good. But now you put 2 minigun ships together, you can bring P.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A minigun ship is death from the air. I mean, that's you know.
That's superior firepower there, buddy.
We carried 10,000 rounds, and I forget. You might remember what was the if you were to fire a minigun for X amount of seconds, you could put 1 round per square foot of a football field.
Yep.
But I don't remember what it was. It was a very short period of time.
2.5 second burst.
2.5 seconds, we put 1 round per square foot in a football field?
Yeah. Yep. And that's if it was outboard and one of them was inboard, it went to 6,000 rounds. 6,000 rounds a minute, or 7,000 rounds a minute.
Well, I think the maximum.
Rounds.
Oh, is it 3,500?
Yeah, it was 3,500. And then if one minigun went inboard, the other one would pick up the rate of fire, and it'd go to 6,000 or 7,000 rounds a minute.
Oh, okay. I thought the max was 8,000 rounds, but I thought they were set back or something.
Yeah. No, them fuckers screamed, man. And we used to get all our bolts from the Air Force.
Yeah,
They
because
only use them once.
the Air Force would use them one time and throw them away, and we couldn't get bolts through the Army.
No.
I mean, our boats were disintegrating around us, and we couldn't get new ones, and the Air Force was throwing theirs away after one use.
I know.
And I don't remember who it was in our unit that found out about it, but they went to the Air Force and got all these bolts.
Yeah.
And I was talking to John
And
Van
we also
Brunson.
got a lot of barrels from them too.
Did we?
Oh man, all kinds of barrels. We had barrels galore for miniguns. Yeah.
You know, I was talking
And
to John.
I remember we used to go to Xeon and steal 60 barrels from the armory.
Yeah, yeah.
We'd go in and get maybe 40 or 50 of them. You know. And then we'd take them out in the jungle and fire them till you could see the piston going in the barrel. You know, you could see it if it got that hot.
Oh, I can remember.
Just dumped your barrel and put a new one in.
Yeah, I can remember times when I fired my gun continuous until the flash suppressor would start to glow, and then you could see that glow kind of dissipate as it went down the barrel.
Yeah.
I mean, we tortured our M60s, and
oh yeah, but
they very seldom failed it.
Mine always fired.
Yep, exactly.
Because to us, it was more like a handgun than I don't know. You get good. You get so good with a 60. I mean, the pilots used to really get a kick out of me standing out on the rocket pods and firing underneath the ship. You know, they thought that was something else. I'd be firing underneath the ship. Never hit a skid, and I don't know how I didn't do that. You know.
I can't say that.
Oh, did you hit a skid?
I put a few bullet holes in the step pad on the pilot side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shit happens, you know.
Or no, not on the pilot side. On the pilot side, on the left side.
Yeah.
The AC was the right side in our ship.
Right. AC and crew chiefs were on the right side.
Right. And then I was bragging about that at one of the reunions, and about, you know, I had put a few holes in the front of the skid, but I had never shot anything else. And I think it was Dennis Acton that corrected me on that, and he said that I put one through the chin bubble one time.
Oh, I did too.
I don't remember that, but I'm sure if I did it, he would remember it.
I remember, because I was on the opposite side that I was usually on a scramble one time, and I put a few holes in the chin bubble. And then they came out with those rebar things.
I never got one on mine.
What, a rebar?
Yeah.
Oh, they welded them on everybody's. But I remember what we used to do to them is, you know, remember we used to hammer the dongs down, you know?
Yeah, put that 5 dong
group.
piece, or what was it, 50 dong piece, I think, in the buffer.
Yeah.
It would just increase the rate of fire just a little bit.
Yeah, and twist 2 springs together and stretch them.
Yeah.
And increase the rate of fire. I think it was from 760 rounds to about probably 900, somewhere around there. But it did increase them really nice. And then we'd take the time to put all tracer together.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, that was a very good tactical thing, because at nighttime you couldn't tell if it was a minigun or a 60.
Yeah.
Really. You know. Well, I imagine.
And having all the tracer, you know, increased their accuracy a little bit. But at night, that was very impressive to see the, you know, I guess for the gooks to see those tracers coming down on them, because that was red death from the air.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, the thing of it is if you had the miniguns and the door guns going with solid tracer, they looked the same.
Yeah.
So here the son of it be looking at 4 lines of solid tracer, you know, and hearing them miniguns, and I'm sure they thought it was a minigun, you know.
And that was a real pain in the butt to do, to link all solid tracer together. And it was time consuming. And I personally, I don't remember. I know I did it, but I don't think I had time to do it a whole lot.
Well, if we were in a battle or something and we had to reload, we didn't have time to go through. Because I used to take the miniguns and every other tracer round I'd pull out, you know, and set aside, and it still looked like a solid red. What? Just a minute, T-Kai. I'm talking to somebody. Where was I? I forgot. Oh, I know
pulling every other tracer out.
Huh?
You're talking about pulling every other tracer out of the minigun tray.
Yeah, and I just throw them in a box, and then take the time to make my solid tracer.
Yeah.
And I never did throw them away. I always hooked them up to the minigun, but it still showed a solid line of tracer. Man. Yeah, I thoroughly love my job.
I did too. My highlight in my entire life, really, and has been my time with the rebels. And I've done other things. I was a pilot for 12 years, in civilian life, and all this other stuff I've done that, was okay. But the highlight of my life really has been the rebels. That I was proud to, when I finally got that patch on my initiation. That was probably the proudest moment of my life.
Yeah, I remember the initiation. We had to eat that jalapeno pepper with the north and south grid lines.
Yeah. And when you ate the pepper, you couldn't swallow it. You had to just keep chewing, and then someone would ask if there's any reason. They would ask if it was okay for you to swallow, and there'd always be someone to give you a thumbs down, and you had to keep chewing until you got a thumbs up from the entire platoon. Yep. And then when you got the thumbs up, you could finally swallow the jalapeno, and then you had to guzzle a beer.
Yeah.
And after you guzzled a beer, then they usually would gang up on you and put you head first into one of the 55-gallon drums of water. You remember with the oil on top?
Yeah, I remember. I didn't go for that.
Neither did I.
We were going to fight.
I made it out of that somehow. I don't remember how I did it, but I didn't go in the barrel.
Well, the Cantrell tried to say I don't get my patch because of it.
Yeah.
But I got my patch. If anybody earned it, I did. Fucking A, boy. But we never wore a patch until we went to the initiation.
Do you remember when some of us, I don't know if you grew a mustache or not, but
I never did.
A few of us grew mustaches, and I remember having a handlebar mustache at one time.
Oh, yeah?
And we had, they held a formation in, when they would give us medals, they would have a formation in the maintenance hangar.
I never got a medal.
Well, I did. I got an air medal one time with a V device in the hangar, and then the next time I was supposed to get, I think there were one or two more air medals with V, the Distinguished Flying Cross, and the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry with the Gold Star. I was supposed to get them, and remember that piece of crap first sergeant we had? I don't remember his name.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
He had never been in combat.
I don't know.
Yeah,
the reason I don't have my, I didn't get my Purple Heart or didn't get my DFC or my Bronze Star.
Yeah.
He's the reason. And I just still don't know what they are. I know I got them on my D Form 214, but to this day I don't know what they're for. I have no idea. I've never seen. I know what I got the Purple Heart for, but I refused one in Coatloy because I ran into the barbed wire during the mortar attack.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes they would give Purple Hearts away for no good reason. But
I refused that one.
That first sergeant, he told me that if I didn't shave off my mustache, that I couldn't go to the awards ceremony. Well, break my heart,
Yeah.
I didn't want to stand in that hangar at attention and get a medal pinned on me.
Yeah.
And so I didn't give a shit what he said. I refused to shave my mustache. And so they didn't allow me to go to the awards ceremony. And after it was over, they called me in the early room and they just handed me a box and they said, "Here's your medals," and told me to get out. That first sergeant hated us, you know, because we didn't have to pull duty or anything, and that was not right to him. You know, we didn't have to pull guard duty or KP or anything like that, and he didn't like the fact that we got over on him.
Yeah.
But we were on standby. You know, we couldn't be pulling crap like that and flying at the same time.
We had too much to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being on the flight line every day working on my aircraft.
If we weren't working on the helicopters, we were flying them.
That's right. Yeah. And I remember many times sitting out in the runway at Quan Loy, you know, ready to go.
Yep.
You know, sleeping under the helicopter. You know,
Quan Loy and Lai K both.
Yeah, yeah. Quan Loy was the worst for me because it turned you red, you know. That red clay crap.
Well, both of them were bad because both of them were mortar magnets.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I can't remember too many times that I spent RON at Lai K or Quan Loy that we didn't get rocketed and mortared.
Oh, yeah. Rockets were the worst.
Yeah, they were.
They were the absolute worst.
You didn't hear them until they hit.
No, but you could see them when they were launched.
Yeah.
You could see them. You could see those red fingers going up, and oh my God, you know, we know what that is.
But when that motor cut off, you couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
It was just
I couldn't see nothing.
Just wait for the bang.
Yeah. And that's about it too. There was none of this, none of that crap.
Right. Not like in the
crunch.
movies.
You'd hear crunch, 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 crunch. You know.
And you know, one of the things that set the Rebels apart from every other gunship team, and something I'm very proud of, is the fact that we were the only ones that would scramble during an attack on our own base camp.
Yeah.
And when they would attack us, they would intentionally put rockets and mortars down the flight line to keep us from taking off.
Which never worked.
It never worked, and that run out to the flight line when the rockets and mortars are coming in was one hell of a scary run.
Oh, yeah, it was. But I don't know. I always felt real proud to be scrambling.
Yeah, me too.
You know, because we were going after the people that did something to us. And I remember the Artie would give us their coordinates and shit like that, and we'd go out and make gun runs and stuff. I remember seeing them rocket launchers standing up in a field.
Yeah, the bamboo rocket launchers, yeah.
Yeah, yep. And they'd be standing up there, standing tall. So first thing we do is start ripping the jungle. Yeah.
Do you remember the night that I think they were out on a Xeon light mission, and you remember the helicopter that had that really big bright light on it?
Yeah, that was for the river stuff.
Yeah, well they had been up on a mission, and they spotted some VC in the open, and the gunner opened up, and he had hit a guy that was carrying a rocket on his back. Do you remember that story? And somehow it ignited the rocket while this guy was still strapped to it.
Oh my God.
And I mean, it didn't go up in the air or anything, you know, because the guy was strapped to it. But apparently it did.
It screwed up his whole day.
It screwed up his whole day.
I remember I remember one time there was a gook running across the field, and the minigun was just following him like a plow. And then finally hit him and cut him right in half.
Yeah. Man,
that was some firepower there. But that's when we'd be too low to the ground, something like that, you know. The miniguns worked like plows.
You know, most of my missions, I did just about all of our really heavy combat missions were at night. And, you know, most of the times when we had a target, we were shooting at flashes or where somebody on the ground would tell us the bad guys were, and we would shoot there. But I do remember a few times during the day, not many, but there were a few times during the day when we actually caught them out in the open, and took care of them with our door guns.
Well, that was mainly the bloodhound missions.
Yeah.
Because the second ship got to fly on the deck.
Right.
And I loved being second ship, man. I stayed second ship for everything. And Wyatt was my pilot most of the time. And that dude could fly. I'm telling you, he could make that B model talk.
Well, I was on a mission one time when he was a pilot, and I called him the cowboy. And
he was a cowboy.
Was he in real life? Because remember,
no, I'm saying he was a cowboy flyer.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were on this mission one time. There was a mission where they were going to. We were supporting a river landing force. They had taken these boats up the river, and they were going to land and assault this village. And the landing craft, landed, and the infantry started getting off. And we were flying down. I mean, this village just had one dirt street in it, right down the middle of it. And we were flying down the middle real low and real slow. And all of a sudden, something came up both sides of us and exploded. And both the pilots were temporarily blinded.
Oh, wow.
And, well, right before that, we had put 2 rockets into a hooch, and this hooch just blew up with from a secondary. And then these 2 explosions, one on each side of the cockpit, and both pilots were temporarily blinded. And Wyatt was the, I think he was the AC. And, we're flying, and all of a sudden, there was this huge tree that was probably 80 feet tall. It had no limbs on it. It was just a tree trunk up in the middle of nowhere, and we were headed right to it.
Oh, man.
And Wyatt banked to the right, and later on, they had figured that it was a 90-degree bank. And the B model, I believe, I don't think a B model could be banked more than 85 degrees and recover.
Oh, Wyatt did better than that.
and yeah, he did. He banked that, and they figured it was 90 degrees, and missed that tree, and we survived it.
Stop. I'm talking to my daughter.
Yeah, I think our pilots were good, and they say they kept me alive, and
and we kept them alive.
Yeah. But I think a lot of times that when we scrambled, and I'm just speaking for myself now, most of the time I didn't know where I was going. I was just riding in the back, and but the pilots knew ahead of time what they were going into. If it was Bodup, Song Bay, Loch Nen, Quan Loy.
Yeah.
And they knew the shit we were getting into. And I always thought that, that took so much guts to intentionally fly into this crap.
That was our job.
Well, that was our job, yeah, but, it's a job that most people couldn't do, I don't think.
Probably not, but I do know one thing. We definitely had, the more hellish the action, the better, more glory for us.
Oh, yeah.
Because we could bring pee. We could bring something to them that they dreaded. I remember on the gun runs, a lot of the times, unless they were to the side or something like that, the fire would completely stop when we started our gun runs.
Oh, yeah. They would be idiots to keep firing when we started making our gun runs.
Yeah.
They had 2 choices when we opened up. They could either run or die. So
mostly die.
When you have choices like that, it's better to run.
Yeah, exactly. But even that didn't really help him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I remember we came across one time out near Quanaloy. We came across five, looked like bodies at first, right? And they were strewn along this little trail. And we flew over them, and I kept looking for, wounds or something like that, and they didn't have any. So I fired on one of them. And the rest of them got up and ran, and I got all 5 of them.
Yeah.
That was really cool. To get 5 at once, that was pretty cool. But, when I went to the Outcasts, that was almost a daily thing.
Yeah.
It was. Outcasts were really something else, man. But,
well, yeah,
had I not
remember.
gone through the Rebels, I couldn't have been as good as I was.
Yeah.
There's another guy, the one I was talking to when you called.
Yeah.
Joe Crockett. He was in the Mustangs, and he flew a year, just like me, a year before, and he flew with the Mustangs for a year, and I was with the Rebels for a year, and then we came to the Outcasts together. But he was as good a shot, because of the fact that he'd been in the gunship.
Yeah.